Okay, so today we are going to be looking at one aspect of the GRE quantitative reasoning test, which we will call quantitative comparison. Now, quantitative comparison implies you're given two quantities, which we call one of them quantity A and the other quantity B. You will be given values for quantity A and quantity B, and you will be asked to compare to see which of them is greater. There may also be a center information like this. We have this circle and it says that O is the center of the circle above, and the center information, you will need that to be able to compare these quantities. Now, how you pick your answers will depend on which quantity is greater. For A, it says that if quantity A is greater, you pick A. If quantity B is greater, you pick B. If quantity C is greater, you pick C. And then if you cannot determine the relationship from the information given, then you will pick D. Okay, so this is a full-length test, and then we have that the first questions from number 1 to 9, it's quantitative comparison. So let's see how we tackle these 9 questions. Question 1 says that O is the center of the circle above. So we can see the circle like this, and we have all those figures given. So the question, quantity A says X and quantity B is 5. Now, since we already know the value for quantity B as 5, all we will need to do is to find out what the value of X is, so that we will be able to compare if it is greater or equal to 5. So it says that in this question, you are asked to compare X and 5, where the length of line segment from the center of the circle to a point inside the circle is X. So all we need to do is to find this value. Now you need to look at the diagram carefully and observe that we could have had a right angle triangle, except that this point O is not joined to this point on the circumference, and this point O is not also joined to this point on the circumference. So you just join those points with this broken line, you join this point with this broken line. And then if you observe, you can now see that you have two similar right angle triangle. From the center of the circle to any point on the circumference is called the radius. So we put arrow to represent the radius. From the center of the circle to this point is also called the radius. Now, this point from here to here is 3, and here to here is 3. So if we can find what the radius is, then we can also have the value of X. Remember, we talked about Pythagoras theorem. We said for every right angle triangle, so this is a right angle triangle, that the hypotenuse squared, which is where the right angle is facing, arrow squared, is equal to the sum of squares of the two other sides. So 3 squared plus 4 squared is equal to arrow squared. And when we simplify that, we will get that arrow is equal to 5. But we are not done with the question yet, because we are not asked to look for the radius, we are asked to look for X. But because the radius is center of circle to circumference, that means this part 5 is also equal to this part 5. So we have this triangle 3, 4, and 5, and we have this triangle to be 3 and 5. So the radius is longer than this point X. So we know that this point, if we calculate the same thing using Pythagoras theorem, we will get X to be 4. We'll have X to be 4. So we have a value for X. X is 4 as quantity A, and we have quantity B to be 5. Because 5 quantity B is greater than 4 in quantity A, we say our answer to the question is B. Quantity B is greater, so we'll take that answer to be B. Just to recap, you have a circle and you have lines joined with right angles there, and you can just see that if we get this third part, we have a right angle triangle. And because you have a right angle triangle, then Pythagoras theorem can apply. So you calculate this part of the triangle, which is the radius. It is the same thing as this. And because the two triangles are similar, we can get the values of x from the other values on the other two sides to be 4. And once you have the value of x, you can compare both quantities to have that quantity B is greater than quantity A.